Hi, this is my first one, so I'm probably going to be really rusty. Thank you for coming. There's a lot of people.
So what is your history with Wonder Woman?
Um, we've done a lot of films where she's been in it, and this is the first one I would say that, obviously it's the whole movie is focused on her.
So it's an origin story again that we're telling this one, or
Well, let me ask you guys first of all, like how spoilers should I get or should I not? Because
not very.
not very.
Yeah, not very.
Okay, okay. Part of it is an origin, but it's just the very beginning, uh, and it's done in a very sort of short, concise kind of way because it's more about, um, this is a story that James Tucker, the executive producer, kind of wanted to do, because of it's an in continuity movie, and he just felt um, like everybody knows Batman, and basically his ensemble of people, the Alfreds, the history of his parents' death, his motivations and all that kind of stuff. Superman, he has Lois Lane, Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, and all that kind of stuff. But Wonder Woman kind of doesn't have that as far as like it's not. She doesn't have that sort of ensemble cast behind her that a lot of people are aware of, and so he wanted to make a movie that sort of explored that a little bit. Just the Steve Trevor's, the Etta Candies, and other people also. And so that's why there are multiple sort of Wonder Woman villains in this as well, because he really wanted to sort of just expand her sort of history a little bit. Um, yeah.
Technology we're seeing in the sense of like, are we seeing many of the traditional tropes of God Killer Sword, the classic shield, the invisible jet?
Oh. Again, it's an in continuity movie again, and so a lot of some of the things have some of there are clarifications of things, like the invisible jet and how they got it, and so it's a little bit more of how do you sort of tie her mythology into the continuity that we've already established. So um, there are a few sort of things, but not a lot. I don't think we sort of just went in it kind of going like, oh, let's just do this fan wish list of everything and try to cram it all in there.
What's the biggest challenge you faced trying to make your movie match the mythos?
Um, you know, it, Again, it's weird because even in the movies in the past, I feel like when we dealt with Wonder Woman, she's kind of a blank slate in a way because a lot of people there's not a lot of different stories about her. She's kind of some people would argue that um, even personality wise, she doesn't have the most like either moral or a personal conflict as a character. Like Batman has the death that is the prime motivator of sort of his existence, as a superhero. Um, Superman with the whole Kansas boy kind of with the how do you be the moral sort of pinnacle, I guess. Wonder Woman is kind of like she's from this island, you know what I mean, and so um, again, I think this is a thing that we're trying to just explore a little bit more, like a little more in depth, kind of like who are the people around her, who is she, and what are the things she has to go through.
Is there an aspect to the story that excited you the most as a director?
It's this might be a little spoilery, or it's a little more behind the scenes, so maybe it doesn't really impact the story. But when I first read the script, I thought it was going to be something else. I thought we were going to be telling a different type of story. Um, and when I kind of read it, I didn't. I was kind of going, oh, why are we telling this story? But the thing about it, and it has a lot to do more with the dynamics. I think it's a maybe this is a little vague, so I can just kind of say it, but it's kind of a story I feel like about like mothers and daughters. It's a relationship I think between, you know, um, or it's like a story of like a woman sort of, with the expectations of your family or your mother and going against it and to sort of try to be your own. Again, I don't think I'm spoiling anything with this, but like how Wonder Woman left Themyscira, right? and how Hippolyta wasn't, really happy with it, right? It's and so. Again, I think it's kind of universal. Everybody kind of knows that, but it's a little bit more about that and the sort of, you know, a certain amount of guilt, a certain amount of, you explore emotionally a little bit about like what does that mean for her, kind of. And then our other character, she's kind of going through a similar thing. So it's sort of a, I think that's the heart of the story in many ways,
Is there anything that didn't make it into the story that you truly wish
The weird thing about, because we do so many of these stories, it's not like, we get one shot and we do it, because there's going to be another movie coming out in like 4 months or something like that. So even though it's not a series, but it kind of plays like it's kind of like, okay, this is what this story is about. We'll work on this. There might be another story later that will work on some other, again, on another aspect of it. So as a standalone, I was just like, I'm not. I was a little like, oh, is this the story we're gonna tell? So I think there'll be a time for other things. So I was just focused on sort of like, okay, what's the story about, and what's the point of it, and getting the most out of that. So I wasn't sort of like reaching for wishes or any of that kind of stuff, because we'll probably tell that in a different story. Hopefully later it'll be enough that we'll cover enough things that fans will like. So yeah, thank you.
I'm taking